My name is Mark Marcewicz. I am with Hayes Pump, and Hayes Pump is the local authorized distributor and repair facility for Fairbanks Morse pumps, which we're going to be going over this morning on basically your tank drain pumps, your RAS pumps, and also your waste activated sludge pumps are all going to be Fairbanks Morse, which we'll cover through quickly today. The good thing is most of these pumps are very, very similar, so it should be fairly quickly as far as one from the others. I have over 25 years with Hayes Pump in the repair and field service departments, and currently I am the service coordinator. So again, if you have any problems in the future, whether if it's repair related, operation related, or warranty issues, one way or another, you'll probably be getting back in contact with me to help resolve whatever issues you do have. So again, I do have some business cards up here, so if you want some business cards upon leaving, please feel free to grab them for future references for that. This class is also going to be videotaped, and I must say right off the bat that this class and training video is not intended as a safety and training video from Fairbanks Morse Pump Company. If you have any training and safety issues, please consult the operation and maintenance manual in full for questions, or contact a Fairbanks Morse factory qualified personnel, and they will be able to answer any questions you have. And please, while operating any of these pumps, always follow the proper safety procedures with the industry standards. With that said, what I'm going to be quickly going through is a lot of the manuals I have printed out in front of you guys. I have some information from the operation and maintenance manuals in here, along with some of the engineering data on the pumps and curves and things like that on the pumps, and also a lot of the information on the equipment supplied, whether if it's the pump, mechanical seal, couplings, motor information. Most of that should all be inside these manuals for your future reference. This is not the operation and maintenance manuals. You will be getting copies of the operation and maintenance manuals on the whole, basically everything supplied. This is only going to be partial information out of everything that you're going to receive. We just have not gotten all that information for you guys yet from Fairbanks Morse. So as soon as that stuff gets through us, it's going to go through the channels with Walsh and CDM and right to you guys. One quick question before I start. How many of you guys are actual operators as opposed to the plant personnel maintenance facility? So we got 2 operators in here and the rest is maintenance? 3? Okay.
Two.
How do you know we're talking about you?
Could be me.
What happened?
All right. The first booklet I'm going to be going through is going to be the RAS pumps, the RAS pumps. Those are what you have mostly in this facility. You have 10 of them downstairs and throughout your place. So again, that's what I'm going to go through on quickly, the first one, and then the others are going to be real quick to go through. And I'm trying to make this quick and simple. I did have information in here on the installation. You guys are not going to have to worry about installation. By the time everything gets turned over to you guys, the installation is going to be already checked. Startup's going to be done, testing's going to be done, and basically most of this stuff is going to be done. However, I did want to have this in here just in case you have any questions in the future on if something doesn't look right. This information is in this booklet. As far as the operation goes, on page 19 on the RAS booklet, you have the operation. And again, most of the operation on here is going to be very simple, basic. You guys may be very familiar. Do you guys have Fairbanks Morse pumps here before this upgrade? Okay, so you guys are going to be very familiar with the Fairbanks Morse pumps. as far as the operation, the priming, making sure the pumps are at least vented before, in case you do any maintenance and downtime, restarting the pump back up again, making sure the air is out of the pump to make sure it will take back off and prime again. That information is in here. And the maintenance now on page 25. That is something, again, like I said, that is going to be a little bit more. There's not a whole lot of maintenance to go with these pumps. However, you do have the pump with bearings, coupling with grease, and the motor with bearings. So there are going to be some items on here that are going to require maintenance. As far as the pump goes, other than greasing, there's not a whole lot to it, other than the fact that if you get a lot of solid matter that does clog up the impellers, you may have some work in the future as far as removing debris from the impellers. Other than that, it's a fairly maintenance-free pump, as you guys probably know. Like Ho said, hopefully you don't have a lot of clogging issues. So again, you don't have a lot of stuff going on with your pumps. And if you do have a lot of clogging issues, then you're probably very familiar with these pumps as far as what procedures you have to go through as far as removing debris from the impellers and inspecting them and things like that goes. You do have mechanical seals in here, so again, on the pumps you have existing, do you have the chested in 442 seals in there already, or you have a standard seal, or is it a packed stuffing box? Packing? Okay, so this is going to be a little bit of an upgrade for you as far as the mechanical seals go. Less maintenance. You're not going to have to worry about the packing drips and coming in and adjusting packing and things like that in the future. However, now you're going to have to make sure that I haven't seen your installation exactly down there yet, so I don't know if you have clean water source going into your pump or if you've got it coming off with a filter on there going into your seal box. I haven't seen which one you have, but I'm hoping you have one of those two options. Greasing recommendations. Again, any NLGI #2 lithium-based grease is more than satisfactory for both the pump and motors. And again, they do give you a little chart in here as far as the time that they recommend doing it, as far as every 150 hours, 2,000 hours, and et cetera, et cetera. As long as with some actual grease recommendations. As far as what greases you use, it's not really, whether if you use Mobil or Citgo or, any of your greases, they're all pretty much compatible. The next thing I want to skip right up to is, as far as disassembly of the pump goes, have you guys been repairing your pumps themselves as far as major repairs go, changing out bearings, changing impellers, wear rings, things like that, or is that something that usually gets subbed out and you guys just do basic maintenance as far as cleaning the pumps and making everything run again, or? So if you get more involved in the Fairbanks Morse pumps, just for some reference, if you have to remove the impeller, the shaft sleeve, those type of things, just keep in mind that those are usually Loctited on there, so which means that if you have to remove a shaft sleeve or something, it's not going to slide right off. You're not going to just disassemble everything and just slide everything off. You are going to have to use some heat to break the Loctite bond. Slide everything off, clean everything up, and when you're putting everything back again, please Loctite it. They also use the Loctite as a sealant underneath the shaft sleeve and impeller and all that to keep water from escaping and rotting away underneath the shaft sleeve and along the shaft itself. So those are little things, and like I said, it's usually on these Fairbanks Morse pumps, the maintenance is few and far between as far as having to change out mechanicals. You got the Cheston 442 seals on here, so it's a split seal, which means you don't have to disassemble the whole entire pump to change out a mechanical seal, which means the only time you're going to have to change out a pump or pull it apart is if there's a question with the impeller, wear rings, or if you actually have to change out a bearing. and get into a bearing. Other than that, there's really no reason to take the whole pump apart, other than breaking the inspection plug covers and removing debris out of the pump itself. So you shouldn't have to worry too much about that stuff. If we go up on page 35, it's got a little bit of the repair parts. And again, I apologize because I have not gotten a actual inventory list of what parts were supplied from Fairbanks Morse to Walsh Construction as far as what this project requires. A lot of times with your spare parts, you will be getting usually a rebuild kit for your mechanical seal, shaft sleeves, O-rings, and a set of bearings. There's not much else other than those parts that you would be actually needing for a typical rebuild of these type of pumps. And again, as far as what parts you're actually getting as part of the contract, I don't have that information available. But those are your typical parts that you do get. And on page 35, it does kind of give you a little quick rundown of your actual wearing parts. That's something that you should have in stock at your facility. Again, most of this stuff is in stock at Fairbanks Morse, so if there is a problem, you should be able to get this stuff readily available within a couple weeks delivery time. On table 2, it gives you the predicted life of the parts. And as you can see, most of this stuff is 5, 10 years or 20 years plus. Most of this stuff does last that long. As you guys have prior experience with Fairbanks Morse, you do know that, again, which as far as changing out bearings go and things like that, unless there's a defective bearing, most of these bearings, once they're in and running, last a long, long time as far as having to rip the pump apart to change out bearings, wearing out the impeller, unless you get some kind of a fibrous material that is doing a lot of binding and wearing and scoring on the impellers. You don't really have to go through and change out impellers very often. The next page in is going to give a little bit of a review as far as how it's installed and the pump curves and things like that go. That is included in here because, again, I want to make sure that if you guys do have operational problems in the future, that this curve is going to be very helpful as far as feedback, where you can give us a call Fairbanks Morse Pump Corporation directly or Hayes Pump, one way or another. If you have this curve, we have this curve, and we can both talk together and find out where you're running, where it's operating, and find out, is it a operational problem or is it a actual pump problem where you're going to need a factory representative to come out here and actually take a look at the pump for warranty issues, repair issues in the future, or anything that may or may not happen. So again, I wanted to make sure that was included. The breakdowns of the pump, if you go up a couple more pages, there is a breakdown of the pump and also a actual parts list that'll spell everything right out as far as item numbers and what each item actually is. So if there is an issue in the future and you guys have a question, you guys can identify what exactly part it is. A lot of pumps are similar, and unfortunately a lot of pump companies call the exact same part in 10 different pumps, 10 different names. So a lot of times if you can refer to the manual and actually refer to the part by the actual name, it helps out us a lot as far as knowing exactly what pump you're talking about or what part you're talking about versus us guessing on what part you're talking about. Again, like I said, a lot of times you can have the exact same part, and depending on what pump line you're dealing with, they call it different parts. And one person may call it a seal box, one person may call it a stuffing box, one person may call it a bracket assembly. It's the exact same part. However, if someone says it's a seal box, on a different pump, a seal box may be something totally different, and it may add a little bit of confusion. So again, it seems very silly, but again, whenever you have an issue with a specific part, if you can always refer to the actual operating maintenance manual and get an actual description, it helps out a lot. The next thing I do want to, a couple more pages up, it will be the Chesterton 442 split mechanical seal. These are the pumps, the mechanical seals that you're going to have in all of your pumps that were provided by Fairbanks Morse. So again, I'm just going to go through this once quickly with you guys, and it'll pretty much cover all your pumps. Again, it's a split seal, which means the seal is already broken upon installation. So again, it's going to be better than packing. However, split seals do periodically leak because again, it is a crack. Basically, it's two seal faces that are broken in half so they can install them and put it together without having to disassemble the whole pump. The downside is each seal face does have two cracks in it that does add to some weepage over periods of time. Sometimes it gets a little more, sometimes it's a little less. But however, if you have a mechanical seal that does give a little bit of moisture out of it, it's part of the beast. It shouldn't be anything more than a typical condensation on a humid day as far as, it shouldn't be giving you a big puddle on the ground. It might give you a little bit of moisture on the ground and, wet drops, and I apologize for that. So again, that's the seal you have. There is inside here an actual breakdown of how the seal is installed as far as the actual checks. Now again, this is a brand new pump, so a lot of the installation you're not going to have to worry about. A lot of that is putting a brand new split seal into an existing pumps. If you guys want to upgrade your existing pumps, if you still have them, I don't know if they were taken out and upgraded with the new pumps, or if you still have old Fairbanks Morse pumps in your facility that you still have. Again, if you decide that I want to do away with the packing, I want to go with the Chesterton seals and these also. This is going to be more of a system check on your older pumps, making sure the stuffing boxes are still true, that packing and wear over the years have not deteriorated parts to the point where you cannot reuse those parts with a Chesterton seal. In that case, you may have to start getting a couple new parts to incorporate and adapt the new Chesterton cartridge seal into your pump. The next pages are, which are all the little boxes. Now again, that's going to be all your actual installation. That is a step-by-step, piece-by-piece on how the seals actually go together. I do have to say that on these seals, there are a lot of small parts that, if the smaller your fingers are, the easier everything is. The bigger your fingers are, the more cumbersome they actually get, because there are a lot of small pieces, parts that you got to kind of hold all together and slide everything together. It's basically a puzzle, but it's a very simple puzzle. The only downside is you're talking about a lot of small components trying to get put together with your fingers. But once you do it once or twice, it's actually a very simple seal to install. It's a very simple puzzle. On the typical scale, it's like number 3 as far as your technical ability scale.